New Orleans is vulnerable. Actually, the whole Mississippi Delta is vulnerable because of one fundamental reason. The Mississippi River is chock full of sediment. The whole entire central third of the United States drains down the Mississippi River. So by the time it gets to the Mississippi Delta and New Orleans region, the river is brown. It's so thick with sediment. What happens naturally is that in the springtime, the river floods and it washes all the sediment down into the wetlands and marshes in the entire Delta region. All the sediment comes in there. Fresh water comes in there to sort of freshen the aquifers, and nutrients also come in there to feed the plant life. Then for the rest of the year, that sediment kind of compacts. It starts to sink a little bit under its own weight. So there is this little bit of subsidence, and yet the next spring you get the same flooding, more sediment again, it builds up the land again, refreshes the plant life again. This is how the whole delta was built in the first place, and it's this natural cycle of keeping it healthy. Well, for 100 years or more, we've now leveed in the Mississippi River all the way to the very end so that there's no more flooding. And this was done to protect farms and businesses that were right along the river as populations grew. So it's worked. The Mississippi River doesn't flood, doesn't ruin anything. However, we've completely choked off the supply to all the wetlands, to the entire delta. So now that land subsides under its own weight. It's a natural geologic process. Plus we're extracting gas and oil and fresh water out of the ground. So we're sort of weakening the pressure that helps keep it up is actually what happens. So the ground is sinking slowly and there's no new sediment to build it up again. Furthermore, there's no more nutrients coming in from the flooding. So all the plant life, it's a pretty dynamic and fragile ecosystem. Plant life doesn't have the nutrients, it starts to die. What then happens is the salt water kind of encroaches because there's no fresh water coming down anymore. So the salinity of the water goes up and that kills plants at the roots, up trees, grasses, so they start to die. And so when all this vegetation dies and the sort of level of the land sinks, you just have seawater that keeps washing in and the process exacerbates itself. So New Orleans is sinking, the whole delta is sinking, there's nothing building it up, there's nothing to keep the wetlands fresh so that there is this buffer between the sea and the land. And that's what's made the entire delta not just below, well, it's made New Orleans below sea level, but it's put the entire delta at risk of basically just crumbling and flooding and suffocating. So there'll be nothing left but the city and open ocean.